it's Jennifer from Flux. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this gorgeous yarn bouquet. This is seriously a super simple project, and it only takes a few minutes to make. I've gathered up some really bright, cheerful yarn, some things I had around the house, like some tissue paper in my gift wrap bin, some ribbon scraps that I had, and I even added a cute little stitch marker. So this makes a beautiful gift to present to someone, maybe for Mother's Day or a birthday gift for any yarn lover in your life. Likewise, this is also a great gift if you've always wanted to teach someone how to knit or crochet. How wonderful would it be to present this to someone and then to also teach them how to crochet? What a great gift. So we're going to learn how to put this all together, and it's only going to take us a few minutes. For this project, you're going to need the yarn that you'll be gifting. So whatever yarn you want to include in your bouquet, I'm using, just as a side note, Scrubby Smoothie, because it comes in like really bright, fun, happy colors. And I know for knitters and crocheters, pretty much everybody uses cotton yarn. It's a really great all-purpose yarn. So I just chose some really beautiful Scrubby Smoothie colors. But really, any yarn you like, you can make a fabulous bouquet out of. Also, you're going to need some ribbon. We're going to use that to tie the bouquet. I have some hot pink polka dot grosgrain. You can really use anything you like, or you could use some of the yarn that is part of your gift. You're also going to need a good pair of scissors for this, and I'm going to be using some tissue paper. Now, I chose lime green partly because it goes so nicely with my yarn colors, but also I kind of thought it might look like foliage, like blossoms sort of growing out of some foliage. And if you like, it's not necessary, but I also happen to have some of this clear cellophane wrap that I'm going to be putting on the very outside. Sometimes you see that when you go to like flower shops with real flowers. It kind of keeps things waterproof, but I really like the way it looks. The polka dots are really fun with this lime green. So if you have some of that, great. If not, you can just use some tissue. And it doesn't also necessarily have to be green. I just liked that. We're also going to be needing some kind of stick or rod or whatever, but I would recommend incorporating this as part of your gift. So I have a set of knitting needles. These are going to act like our flower stems. So knitting needles, crochet hooks, these are bamboo. This is a shawl stick pin that you use to hold your shawl together. If you want to include that in your gift, maybe you're teaching someone how to knit or crochet and you want to kind of give them a little starter kit. But all these things work really nicely as our flower stems that we'll be using to kind of give sturdiness to our bouquet. Likewise, if your recipient needs a really nice pair of scissors, or you want to treat them to some beautiful scissors, you could use that as one of your flower stems as well. And it'll be, as they open it, they'll, you know, discover these amazing scissors inside. So just something you could use as a stick. Now, that being said, you could also go a little simpler and you could use a dowel rod, you could use a chopstick, you could use something like that instead. Also, as an option, if you have any little extras you want to include, I thought maybe with our bow, when we're finished, we could add a pretty little pom-pom. I had extra. You could also use some little stitch markers, give them the gift of a stitch marker, add some of those to the front just to kind of embellish it a little bit. So let's get started and learn how to put this all together. So I have 4 balls of yarn here, and so I need 4 sticks, or stems rather, if you will. And I didn't mention this earlier, but the colors, in case you're wondering, are lemony, bright orange, bright pink, and aqua, just in case you want to replicate the palette that I'll be using. So I'm going to grab 2 sets of knitting needles. Now this is a crochet hook as well. That works very nicely. Whatever you'd like to gift your recipient in addition to the yarn. So we're going to start by, before we put the sticks in, I'm just calling them sticks. I mean, we know they're knitting needles, but whatever stick element you're using, we're going to kind of arrange our bouquet. So we want to do sort of like stair steps. So let me slide this out of the way. If we take our pink, for example, you know, we're going to kind of lay it in the bouquet like stair steps. So you want to kind of get your yarn colors situated how you like them to go. Now I'm a huge fan of bright pink, so I'll be putting that one right up in the front, and we can kind of stair step them like that. The reason I say that is because some of your sticks might be long, like these purple ones. Some of them might be shorter. So you want to put the longer ones on your back flowers. So today, yarn balls are flowers and needles and hooks are sticks. So grab your next one, and we're just sliding those in very carefully. See how I'm doing sort of like a twisting motion? You don't want to shove it through there because you could kind of disrupt the yarn inside. So you want to be as gentle as possible because we do want our recipient to be able to use this yarn, and we want it to stay pretty and nice and neat looking, okay? So you might have to sort of wiggle your needles or hooks or dowel rods or whatever you're using in there. And here is our last flower, and we're going to sort of lay that one on top. So you want to sort of come up with an arrangement first, okay? All right, so now that we have our sticks in place, we're going to slide all this out of the way. Now grab your tissue paper, and we're going to open it up. Now apologies through the microphone if this is super crinkly in your ear, but that's how paper kind of goes sometimes. All right, so slide this back, and look, see the two little points at the top here? See those two little points? We're going to kind of pull those apart, okay? So we get more space with our yarn, okay? And then fold it in. So you're going to have a big triangle. Okay, here's the bottom. So it's flat. Here's our points at the top. And then just kind of smooth it out and fold up the bottom, okay? Next, we're going to grab our bouquet and lay it right in our tissue. So get it beautiful, get it just the way you want it, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to fold our tissue inward, okay? So the trick with tissue paper, see how I'm sort of bending it back? And my fingers are a very light touch. The thing with tissue paper, if you've ever used tissue paper, wrapped gifts, the less you handle it, the nicer it looks. The more crisp your paper is going to look. So try not to crinkle it up too much, okay? And see how I folded it in and then I folded it down. So it's like presenting the yarn in a beautiful way, okay? So here's our bouquet. Now, we're just going to sort of cinch this up right there like that, okay? Kind of cinch it up, and I can feel the knitting needles right in there, okay? So let's slide this out of the way. Now, we're going to grab, we can get all of our ribbon out of the way for a minute. Now we're going to grab our cellophane. And it's hard to see because it's see-through, but we're going to just cut a piece. Now I have a big roll of this. Again, this part is totally optional. You don't necessarily have to do this. But I'm going to cut it into a square. Nice square shape. Now none of this is an exact science. So, you know, whatever you feel. So we're going to turn our square. So see how the point's up here? So it's like a diamond shape. And then remember our bouquet over here, we're going to lay it so that the points sort of line up at the top. Then we're going to fold that in nice and neat. And then we're going to bring our cellophane in. Nice and pretty. Just like that, okay? Now, what I would recommend is to grab a scrap piece of ribbon. Now, I'm doing this with one hand. And see how the polka dots are similar? I think that's super cute. All right, then we're going to use our scrap. Now we can sort of straighten a lot of this out in a little bit, but you just want to get that tacked down so that it's in place. Okay, and you can sort of straighten things out. You can push that yarn down a little bit if you need to. And look, you can see the knitting needle stick out of the bottom. I was inclined to push it up out of the way, but I kind of like how it's peeking out, so your recipient will say, ooh, what's under there? Okay, so then you're going to kind of like fold in the bottom, give it a little trim. Our yarn bouquet does not need water, so we don't need to worry about that. Okay, so now you can do a traditional bow, but I'll show you how to make a regular bow. Okay, let's turn our bouquet. See how lovely it looks already? Okay, so if you want to make a bow like how they do in the flower shops, what you're going to do is you're going to let a strand hang down the front. You can skip this and do a regular bow if you like. And then you're going to twist, and then you're going to make a loop. The trick is not to make your loops too big because they'll look a little sloppy. And then twist, make a loop, twist, make a loop, twist, make a loop. You're just going to add loops, add loops. This is kind of like a party bow. Now I'm not going to add as many loops as I normally do. If you want this to primarily be your bow, then you'll want to fill the loops. You want to fill your hand with loops. Okay, the fluffier the better when it comes to bows. You don't want a sad, kind of saggy bow. But I'm going to make mine have a pom-pom center. So I'm going to cut that now. And then see our pom-pom? I have a separate video on how to make a pom-pom. I'll put the link down below. No fancy tools, just made with your hand. So I'm going to lay the pom-pom on top of my bow. And then pull the strand. See, I had two little handles back here. And I have two pretty tails. And we can flip it over. A lot of bow making, too, is done with one hand. And if you need to make a couple practice bows, you know, definitely do that. But I'm trying to do this with one hand. Okay, so what we're going to do is just tighten it up. All right, now tie the back nice and tight. It's not going to look like much now, but we're going to floof it up a little bit. Floof is definitely a technical term. So just get your little loops all nice and lined up. Again, if you want to just do a traditional bow, feel free to do that as well. You can pull some of them so that they're a little loopier. Now grab your bouquet, and we're just going to tie it right on there, okay? Okay, so you can have your pom-pom there. Now let me show you, let's put him aside for a minute. Let me show you how to do a regular bow as well. So you can do that as an option, which I think that is really a fun little bow. Okay, so for a traditional bow, what you'll want to do, remember we tied this just to hold it together. It's too hard to, sorry, I dropped my ribbon. It's too hard to try to keep this together and make a pretty bow at the same time. So I like to just do a scrap bow, but you want to slide this knot around to the back, okay? And you can really just leave it like that. It looks really pretty that way too. Okay, let's do the one with the stitch marker. We're going to include a stitch marker in this one. So here's a couple options for you. So bring your ribbon up, and I always cut way more than I think I'll need because you can always trim, but you can't add more, okay? So tie that nice, and then you're going to, now this polka dot is only on one side, so that makes it a little bit more challenging. And then you're going to take your loops, and you're just going to try to keep the polka dots facing up, okay? And then just get it nice and tight. See how I'm like kind of pushing and pulling with the loops? Get them nice and neat. Just like that, okay? Beautiful, beautiful, simple. We also have our super fun pom-pom bow as well. So then you'll want to just cut your tails. And I like to cut mine at an angle so they look finished. And then if you like, you can hook your little stitch marker to the center of your bow. So let's go ahead and do that. Now this is going to take a little bit of precision work here. I hope my eyeballs can handle it. Oh, I did it on the first try. That was just pure luck. Okay, so we have our little stitch marker. We have our bow. You can really do any option you like. You can even buy a store-bought bow and just stick it right on there. Okay, so our yarn bouquet is finished. There's the bottom. There's the top. And how fun of a presentation is that for a yarn lover in your life or someone you want to make into a yarn lover and have a crochet or knitting buddy. So Either way, you can give the gift of crafts. You can give it to someone who maybe just needs a little bit more yarn in their life. Don't we all, right? Okay, let's spin it around and you can see it's presented just like flowers and it looks absolutely beautiful. So that is how you make a stunning yarn bouquet. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.